Martin, we're looking at this heat of the Thames Cup between Molesey Boat Club, which we're flying over now, and their opposition from the States, University Barge Club, on the left of the screen as we look. How do you see this race panning out?
Well, first of all, very good afternoon to you, Martin. Pleasure to be here, isn't it, really? I mean, just look at those images. Absolutely fantastic. Can you believe people have been missing it for all these years? Molesey Boat Club, there you are, a bit dear to your heart, Mark.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll talk about them as we go down.
Club,
you can hear the umpire. As,
when I see your bow straight
I mean,
and
when
ready,
the umpire,
I'll start you like
that's
this.
Matthew Pinson's voice, isn't
Attention.
it? Big man in that umpire's launch.
Get ready, please.
4 times Olympic champion, and he's just getting his red flag ready, and these guys who have raced yesterday will know that the start is shortly going to be given.
Just looking at the times actually from yesterday, there's not a lot between these two. University of Barge went down to 47 minutes. Molesey Boat Club 7:06.
Go!
So that first stroke is always so deliberate. The coaches say just focus on the first stroke, get the boat moving, and then you can wind the rating up and go through the gears. There's Barge Club from the United States of America. They're my favourites for this race. I think they had a very quick time to the barrier, 3-4 seconds quicker than the Molesey 8. So we're looking at the Americans on the left of your screen, and there's a shot of the Molesey crew. And in the stroke seat, Lewis Thorpe, that great servant of Molesey Boat Club. He's been at Henley, I think, 4 or 5 times, but it's the power of the Americans, Martin.
Yeah, looking there, side shot there, that's going to be, what, 3/4 of a length they've taken at the top of the island, and the Americans are very hungry there.
I think it's interesting, isn't it, when you look at the sort of the length the Americans are on, but just how much time they've got forward. I'll get a rating check, which is how many strokes a minute they're doing. But it just looks really controlled. I've got about 36, 37 strokes a minute, but it looks a bit lower, and I think the flow they're getting forward is very impressive.
Just a contrast in style, isn't it, really, if you look at the Americans and the guys from Molesey there. Molesey will be very, very keen not to let them go here, won't they, Martin?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this race is done and dusted. It's the Americans, and they're going to really just romp away. They won't let up in their rhythm until they get at least to halfway, and they'll probably by then have a handy lead on the Surrey-based crew from Molesey Boat Club. Molesey Thames 8 will be, it's not one of their top crews. They've put their best athletes in the 4s that are here in the Widefold and the Britannia. There we get a shot from our gantry camera at Fawley Meadows, which is about halfway down the course. You can see the spectators are just all the way down this Henley course. I mean, wherever you look, there are people cheering on rowing, Martin.
Unbelievable crowds. I went down to the start, and I've been going down to the start, luckily enough to follow an umpire's launch, which is an amazing experience. At the start, huge amount of people on a Wednesday.
So we had a shot of the Molesey 8 there, hanging in there, and they will be urged on by their cox, Theo Gibson, really not to lose heart, but just to focus on their technique. And really all you can do in races like this, when you're behind, you can't see the opposition, is just to focus on the technique that you're putting down.
The University of Barge Club, I see, with an average age of about 30. You look at the Molesey 8, there's a couple of juniors in there, Martin, Will Stewart and Luke Gowland.
Yeah, the two juniors of Molesey rowing in the 2 and 3 in the Molesey 8, and of course Molesey is one of those fantastic clubs that have, there we see the Molesey 8, and you can just see in the 2-seat Luke Gowland, and the head of him, Will Johnston, and Molesey just caters for top-class internationals, for people just beginning to row, and as a fantastic junior programme, and it's a club at all levels. There's the flag you just saw on the right of your picture going down to indicate the Barge Club have gone through Fawley at the halfway, University Barge Club USA, and they haven't let up from this very powerful rhythm. A lot of flow out forward, and they're quite deliberate on the front end, aren't they, Martin?
They are. They look to be putting down a lot of power there. It's all very, very controlled. They've got Molesey in their sights, and they're probably not going to expend too much energy here, are they, Martin? Knowing that there's still a few more days to go through to the final. One of your favourites, perhaps, to take the trophy?
It's stacked, this Thames Cup, isn't it? I mean, I think they do look good against Molesey, and I think when you look at that University Barge Club crew coached by Bill Lamb, you recognise there are people in there like John Piper, who's been at Henley here in the double sculls, or Pete Seymour, who's raced at Henley again in 2011. You know, they're experienced men, they're great rowers, and they know this Henley course, Martin.
There we go, we got the shot of the grandstands filling up after the lunch interval, and big crowds here again. A little bit cooler today, must be a bit more pleasant for the athletes. It was very hot indeed yesterday. The hottest July day on record, apparently.
Yeah, much cooler today. So there's the time that these crews did the Fawley mark, 3 minutes and 5 seconds.
They got there yesterday in 3:04, I think I read.
So slightly easier conditions, maybe not quite so much headwind today. There's the Molesey crew sticking to their task and well, sticking gamely to their task. It's probably a couple of lengths of clear water, maybe about 5 seconds. But you can see the crew on your right, the University Barge Club from the USA, have now controlled the rate of striking. That means they've lowered the number of strokes they've done per minute, and they think they've got this race in the bag. And you can see that their cops, Andy Kelly, is just telling them to focus on the technique and the run on the boat. I mean, how do you play it as a coach? You know, telling a crew when they're in the lead. What's your take on it, Martin?
Well, I think this is not a sprint, is it? You've got to pace yourself over those 5 days of regatta, and as you say, the Thames Challenge Cup, it is going to be survival of the fittest. It's who's probably left with most juice in the tank on Sunday afternoon.
So there's a great shot, isn't there, of the stewards' enclosure, and you can watch racing right on the banks of the Thames there in the deck chair, or in the big grandstands, which, if the camera pans out, we get a shot of. Generally packed as the afternoon racing gets underway. There, the river traffic, and we see this very mature crew from University Barge Club USA coming through to the finish, the Philadelphia club, taking it easy.
They got an easily verdict yesterday, I see here, over Vesta. So Molesey would do well not to have that verdict. So they were a bit near in touch. They beat Worcester, of course.
But both these crews were in action yesterday. Barge Club comfortably won their heat, and the Multi-Thames Cup crew won their heat too. They would have known they were up against it today, and indeed the Philadelphia crew take that verdict by what will probably be about 3 lengths, and we see them there just relaxing as they cross the finish line. Molesey will collapse a bit. That was hard work for them, but a highly competent crew from America.